Hi, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Courtney, and this is Caffeinated Crimes.
So, we have a few updates, so I'm not going to talk too much, but I did have a
Hmm.
quick story to share before we get into our updates. So tonight we put the kids to bed and I was cleaning up the kitchen, and then Andrew said he had to run to the store, and I was like, oh, okay, like I was gonna go for like a walk, but whatever, it's fine. So he's like, oh, well, you can just go when I get back. And in my head, I'm like, I know it's gonna be dark when you get back, but whatever, just go
Hmm.
ahead. So he goes to the store and he comes back and then like doing some other stuff around the house, and he's like, oh, are you not gonna go for a walk? And I'm like, looking outside and I'm like, it is dark outside. And he's like, oh, like I have a headlamp you can wear. I'm like, I'm not worried about not being able to see where I'm going.
I'm worried about being kidnapped.
I'm like, what a man answer to be like, just
Such
put
a
on my
man answer.
headlamp. I was like,
Just put on
oh,
your headlamp, you'll be good.
oh, to be a man in this world.
It would, it is crazy when you're just like, man, you can just go on a walk at night and be like,
Right?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yes. And how many stories are we about to tell you right now about women being killed at the hands of men?
One,
Three?
two,
Four?
three. Three for sure.
Well, I think it updates and then the story. So,
Yeah,
um,
three.
but yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. Um, yeah, guys, it's been a week, you know?
it has. We are recording
I don't
this.
really know what else there is to say.
Nope, nope. We'll just get into our updates. If you guys remember from, I think it was about this time last year, I want to say, we released an episode about Angela Craig. And at the time I started this episode, I thought that it was like had concluded because, we usually kind of wait until like trials are
Hmm.
over and things like that. But it had not. When I got to the end of the research I was doing, I was like, oh, this guy has not even gone to trial yet. So we're like, we'll let you know when all of that comes about. So again, this was James Craig. So he did poison his wife, Angela Craig, and he was found guilty of first degree murder, 2 counts of solicitation to commit tampering with physical evidence, 2 counts of solicitation to commit first degree perjury, and solicitation to commit first degree murder. And he has been sentenced to life without parole. So there was a much awaited, long awaited update on him.
Yeah, and that was episode, I just looked at it today, 214, I believe.
Thank you.
Well, I was trying to remember, I was like, where did we leave off officially on that?
Yeah.
So I had to like look to be like, okay, if we're doing an update, I need to make sure I'm doing
Hmm.
it from the right point. And then it
Yeah.
took me we have way too many episodes. Then I
Yeah.
had to, it was a lot, but
Thank you for
found it,
finding that.
214.
Because
And
I
if
was
it's not
like,
214, it's in that general area.
just go to
So
214. It'll be a few above or below it if not. I was
yeah.
just like, sometime around this time last year, close enough. Good luck.
Yeah. Just look it up. You'll find it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then another update we have is a very hot topic case within the last year is Luigi Mangione. So if you kind of have heard anything about this case, like they were trying to throw a terrorism charge at him, which was
Hmm.
a lot of people had a lot of debates about that.
Yeah.
But officially, at the time of this recording, I'm pretty sure the day of this recording, the judge officially tossed out that terrorism charge, but his second degree murder charge still stands. I don't know if, about the first degree murder, if that will be, because
Hmm.
it was, did seem a little planned out to an extent.
Yeah.
So, but that terrorism charge is being thrown out, which
Hmm.
personally I do agree with because I think if you charge him with terrorism, you need to charge every school shooter with terrorism, every mass shooter
Hmm.
with terrorism, and they don't. And I feel like it's like a double standard just
Hmm.
because his victim was like a CEO of a company. I don't
Yeah.
think makes it more terrorism than kids in a school. But
Exactly. Yeah. That was
maybe
that
that's
was
just
kind
my
of.
opinion.
No, I agree. It was a that charge was reaching, and I think it's appropriate that that one specifically was thrown out.
Yeah. And I know sometimes like I've heard people more so maybe in like civil cases and stuff, but I'm sure it happens in criminal cases too, where they're like, it's kind of like spaghetti. Like you throw it at the
Hmm.
wall and we're just throwing all the noodles and hoping most of them stick. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're just throwing it up there and being like, hey, maybe we'll get away with it, maybe we won't.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And recently, we also had the very tragic murder of Irina Zarutska. So she was, I believe, 23 years old. She was
Hmm.
a Ukrainian refugee and was riding a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, and another passenger just stabbed her to death on the train as she was
Yeah.
on her way home from work. I mean, just brutal and just tragic and so like this is the type of crime that everyone like fears but that doesn't happen that often. Those just like
Hmm.
completely like random senseless attacks that you're always like afraid of in those situations but statistically doesn't happen that often and then we just but then we do see it,
Yeah.
you know, and just so awful.
And it's so sad and kind of brings up too how it's like the video going viral on all social media platforms. And it's like,
Mm,
I don't know if this is something that we need to be posting everywhere.
exactly. I have not watched it. I can't, so I have not.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, it's also one of those things that I watched it when I didn't fully know
Mm,
what was happening. If
yeah.
that makes sense,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
before everyone was kind of talking about it, and then you're just
Hmm.
kind of like, oh, Jesus Christ, which again brings into like social media stuff where it's like maybe we're posting a little bit too much of things. Like
Hmm.
I shouldn't be watching someone making buffalo chicken dip and then seeing that on my algorithm.
Yeah, with like no warning
So
and it just appears and
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of them, like I know on TikTok, have like the sensitive warning. When I looked up
Hmm.
to look up the pronunciation of her name, a lot of them had that, but
Hmm.
some didn't.
Yeah.
So it really just depends what TikTok and what the poster of the
Hmm.
video
Yeah.
really put on their stuff. So,
Yeah. And I did see too that the killer's mom was talking about how like he had a lot of like mental health problems and he had like been
hmm.
in and out of prison and that she didn't feel like he was released appropriately with the supports that he needed. So just again, just tragic all around.
And I think it's one of those things too. I'm just going on a platform today, but when
Don't we
we kind of,
always?
don't we always? But I feel like it's also when we talk about things we can do in our communities with police reform, all that kind of things of like, how can we get services for people like this who it's like, yeah, maybe his charge, I don't remember exactly what all of his charges were, but maybe he
Hmm.
did serve the maximum amount of time he could on those sentences. But there should also be some kind of program or place for him to go to get like the mental health services that he needs.
Hmm.
Again, not
Yeah.
justifying him killing anybody. I don't want anyone to think
No,
that.
yeah, definitely not.
It's just like preventing this in the future. It's like, how
Hmm.
can we help people? Because I mean, we've all seen it before where we're in our own cities, in a different city, whatever, and you're just like, clearly that person like needs help of
Yep,
some kind. Um,
exactly. Which brings up the whole gun reform debate where people say, like, oh, it's not a gun problem, it's a mental health problem. Okay, great. Where are the fucking mental health resources then? Like,
yeah,
you sure if you want to make that your argument, like, I disagree, but that's neither here nor there. But if you want to make that your argument, you need to be supporting mental health services.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing, and just funding where we can to help
Hmm.
people with, you know, it brings up a bigger debate in general, even back to Luigi Mangione of like insurance, like
Yeah,
denying people
exactly.
different things they need.
Hmm.
Even when you go as basic as, oh, this person had a hip replacement and they're not paying for them to go to like a rehab facility and now they go home alone, to this person needs this medication or they need this testing and insurance won't pay for it, you know?
Hmm.
Like my insurance tried to not pay for my ambulance ride because they called it, quote, out of network. And when I challenged
Hmm.
it, they said, was it in network? And I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many quarters made $1.50. I didn't ask them to send me to a certain hospital.
Exactly. You're like, oh, sorry, let me pull up my insurance portal and check before we
Yeah.
go in.
I
Like,
mean, I said all that. And I was like, what was my husband supposed to do while I'm on a stretcher? Start looking up my health insurance plan?
exactly.
Thankfully, after that, it did get approved and they didn't fight me anymore. But I was like,
Yeah.
don't know what you want me to do about it.
Yeah.
Just again, like what we can do to help people out instead of like,
Hmm.
because this man was likely committing crime due to his mental health issues and like
Hmm.
jail was not fixing his mental health issues and then it just becomes a very horrible circle and
Yeah.
unfortunately, in this case we see what happens when that cycle just continues.
Hmm. Yep.
Okay, doesn't get any happier from here, guys.
Nope,
We're gonna have to
sorry.
find a little story or something and to put in between this and
Yeah.
the whatever. So on September 10th, there was another school shooting in Colorado at Evergreen High School, and I do believe maybe there was a second school shooting somewhere in the country. I can't remember, but thankfully with this one there were people injured, but the only casualty was the shooter himself. So. Um, I think we're in September right now. We're almost up to 100 school shootings on the year.
Yeah.
Um, and I know towards the end of last week, there were a lot of schools who had to shut down and all of this just from various threats
Hmm.
of different things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. A lot can happen in 2 weeks between when you record. Um,
I know it has been a very heavy couple of weeks with a lot of things
mhm.
going on. Trying to think if there's any little perk of the week to insert here at the top before we
I
tell
know
you
I was
another
it's
sad
another
story.
very sad story. So I was like, what can we talk about? Oh, we can give a little teaser because when this comes out, the Thursday before, our CrimeCon recap came out.
Yes.
Um, which we were in Denver for that. So if you want to listen to something a lot more lighthearted in between this and that,
Yes.
go jump over there and see it. Little plug at the beginning in case you tune out at the end. But that is what our September Patreon is about, is a whole deep dive into like what we learned at CrimeCon. And it was a good
Hmm.
CrimeCon. We had
It was.
great speakers, fun things. The hotel was gorgeous,
Oh my God,
guys, gorgeous.
beautiful.
When I do the Patreon story, I'll
Hmm.
post the picture I took of our
Mm.
hotel that looks really nice. So
They really like the Gaylord Rockies has embraced like the Colorado theme, and I'm totally here
yeah.
for it. Like, loved it. It was
It
just
was
so
like
well
the
done.
most luxurious log cabin.
Yes, yes. It was
Yes,
beautiful. It was a
so
great time. We got to spend a whole day by the pool with our little
oh,
snackies and our
so
little
nice.
drinks and just lazing around and reading our books and just fantastic. So our souls
Yeah.
very much needed that, and that was even before the last 2 weeks.
And our souls need it again.
All right, playing around two. Let's go.
We're already going. But yeah, so that was just a little something, I guess, a little buffer in
Yeah.
between these two. I'm trying to think if there's like, there is a slightly specific story I can point out that we will probably talk about in the Patreon, but a little teaser.
Hmm.
Well, not if you listened when it came out 4 days ago, but I made Jacqueline watch Unknown Caller, or
Yes.
Unknown
Number?
Number, something, whatever. You guys
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about. It's the Netflix. Everyone's talking about it. You know what I'm talking about. And getting to watch her live reactions were just gold.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
I also misspoke in our last episode. The Hulu series, I think, is Hey Beautiful. I said Hello Beautiful, but it's Hey
Mm,
Beautiful. So if you're
okay.
looking for it and couldn't find it, apologies.
Also, while we're on the topic of shows and CrimeCon and just throwing other things out there, if you know where I can buy individual Dateline episodes, please let me know because I was seeking out a very specific Dateline episode because we got to see Josh Mankiewicz speak, who we've seen all 3 years now. He's amazing.
Hmm.
And he referenced like someone asked him like what's the most like chilling like killer that you sat across from.
Uh-huh.
And so he mentioned a specific episode. I'm like, oh, I really want to watch that episode. Cannot find this episode anywhere. I'm like, I will pay for this episode. I cannot find it anywhere. I looked on like 8 different apps that were like, oh, we have like random Dateline episodes, but it's like this in between season that I just cannot find
Yeah.
anywhere. So if you know where I can purchase individual Dateline episodes, please let me know. Thank you.
Is that not an NBC show?
Yes.
So shouldn't it all be on Peacock?
I couldn't, it stopped. This was like season
They only had so much. It was too much.
17.
They were like,
Yeah.
we don't have enough capacity.
Or we don't have enough gigabytes on Peacock to host all
Yeah,
of
that's what I was trying to
these.
say. I was just thinking since it's like NBC, they'd be like, here is everything,
Yeah,
you
they don't
know?
have all of them. They only have certain ones. And even like the seasons they do have, they don't have every episode of the seasons. It's really
That's
weird. I've never seen
weird.
anything like it. So
Hold, please. I'm gonna look up something. Do you remember what season it was?
I'm pretty sure it was season 17.
This is when my old jobs might come in handy.
Mm.
Shoot. I guess Dateline doesn't release like DVD.
I don't
Yep.
know. I don't think
I was
so.
looking at the library
Mm.
because that's how there was this one show I wanted to watch because it was supposed to be like one of the creepiest episodes or something.
Hmm.
Couldn't find it anywhere, and I found the like box set at the library
Oh,
and checked it out. Um,
gotcha.
Not seeing it on there, so.
Yeah, Andrew said we can try McKay's, but I feel like the chances of finding that one very
Well, now
specific
I'm
episode,
thinking, did they print out? Did they be like, here's a season
I don't know.
printout?
I don't know. Anyway, if you know, let me know. If not, I'll just forever be wondering what happened in that episode. It's fine, no big deal. So but speaking of Dateline, I did watch another Dateline episode for this episode. That one that was available to me through the mini apps that I have that still cannot have everything that I need. But it was season 28, episode 1 on the outskirts of town. I also used an article from the Courier Press, a 14 News article, a WIBC article, and also legacy.com. So Halee Rathgeber was the oldest of three sisters and grew up in Newburgh, Indiana. She graduated in the top of her class from Castle High School with honors and was a two-time recipient of the Presidential Award and a member of the National Honor Society. Her mom, Heather Collins, said Halee was the best big sister and was always eager to lend a helping hand. She loved taking care of her younger sisters, and her sister Emily said that she felt safe with her. Her mom said that she was like the best at changing diapers and just like doing all of those things when her sisters were little. Halee was very protective over both her sisters and her friends. They did describe her as the mom of the friend group. They said she was the tallest, so she like always stood out to everybody. They like likened it to her like and like her like baby ducklings like kind of ushering
Hmm.
everyone through the halls and everything. And they always knew that Halee would help anyone in need. So when Halee was 12 years old, her friend's 19-year-old brother actually attempted to molest her during a sleepover. And at first she didn't tell anyone, but then she learned that this man had hurt other girls. So at that point she came forward. And at 12 years old, she actually testified against him in court and helped send him to prison.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
hard at 12.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, not to like minimize what she went through, but it's like she wasn't fully attacked by this man and still came forward to like be able to help other
Hmm.
people. You know what I mean? So like for her
Yeah.
to like have the bravery to do that at 12 years old is just amazing.
Hmm.
So her parents weren't surprised when Halee decided that she wanted to become a nurse and she enrolled at the University of Southern Indiana. She was very driven and ambitious, and she loved reading and studying. And when she wasn't working on schoolwork, she was waiting tables at the nearby Texas Roadhouse. She also volunteered in her community with the Veterans Administration and St. Mary's Hospital. On Sunday, April 23rd, 2017, Halee was 20 years old and was home studying for a big exam the next day. The next morning, Halee's mom was having coffee and scrolling Facebook when she came across a news article about an unidentified young woman's body found at a nearby soccer field. So, like you do, Heather contacted all three of her daughters to make sure that they were all okay, and she spoke with her two younger daughters, but she wasn't able to get a hold of Halee. Her phone was off and no one could reach her. So Heather called one of Halee's friends and she said she didn't show up that morning to take her exam, which, as we know now, was not like Halee at all. Like she cared a lot about school, like she was very ambitious. She was studying for the exam the night before, was not like her to not show up and take her exam. So Heather called Halee's friend Ansley because she knew that she had a key to her apartment and asked her if she could go check on her. So when Ansley got to the apartment building, she saw Halee's car outside. So she unlocked the apartment and went inside screaming her name, but she didn't see her anywhere. So at this point, Halee's sister Emily shared a picture of her on Instagram and was like asking if anyone had heard from her to please contact her, but they couldn't get a hold of Halee. So people who saw this post then started sharing the news article with Emily about the body that was found on the soccer fields. So Heather, her mom, also had an old friend who was a detective, so she reached out to share Halee's name and description with him. So he forwarded it to investigators in the area who were able to find Halee's Facebook profile, and they noticed a tattoo that she had visible in one of her pictures. And they did notice that the woman found at the soccer fields had the same tattoo, and now they knew they had officially found Halee. So the family was notified that Haley's body had been found. Detective Paul Cruz arrived at the crime scene and immediately knew that she had been murdered. So while these were popular soccer fields during the day, they were pretty isolated at night and like early in the morning. The nearest neighbors were about a half mile away, separated by like trees and some woods. Like these were literally just soccer fields. Like there's nothing else around. So you think,
Mm-hmm.
late at night, like it's just a very open, deserted place.
Yeah.
So Haley's cause of death was ruled a gunshot wound to the back of the head, and she actually lived a while after she was shot before she died, because her leg had rubbed like a bare spot in the gravel where it had been moving for a while, like after she was on the ground. So it's like she's like attempting to get up and had been there for a while before she did die.
Mm-hmm.
A blue towel was also found next to Haley, but there was no other evidence at the crime scene. Haley's cell phone and wallet had been missing. So detectives were actually assigned to like cut grass with scissors to look for any bullets or shell casings. Like they're like combing through this grass trying to find anything, but they found nothing. So investigators asked Haley's family if they knew anyone who would want to hurt Haley. So Heather did share that police should look into a man named Thaddeus Rice. So Detective Paul Cruz was surprised to hear this name because he was actually working another case at that time that involved Thaddeus Rice. So Rice had been accused of accidentally dropping his girlfriend's 10-month-old baby Jackson down the stairs after tripping over a diaper bag. So he claimed that the baby was strapped into his car seat and that he was like struggling with the key in the door and he lost his balance and fell down the stairs with the baby in the car seat.
Okay. Wait, is the baby okay?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
I was like, I heard it accused of accidentally dropping, but I was like, I didn't hear
Yes. We'll get to
anymore.
that. Yes.
So I guess the car seat didn't do its job,
Okay, that's
if
what I
that's the
thought.
story.
We'll get to that in a minute. But yes, I
Yeah.
have I have thoughts about the
I
car
was
seat
like,
specifically. Yeah.
if it can't handle down the stairs, how was it supposed to handle a car accident?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Yes, we'll get to that. Um, so Haley was friends with the baby's mother, Jordan, and she was actually Jackson's godmother. So Haley and some other friends visited Jordan in the hospital while Jackson was on life support. And Haley ended up going to Jordan's house to get her some food and clothes and noticed that the diaper bag was like sitting by the front door. And so the stairs were by the front door. So I'll give him that. But the diaper bag is like at the top of the stairs by the front door. So if you think
hmm
that you trip over this diaper bag with enough force for you and this baby to fall down the stairs, I think the diaper bag is coming with you. I don't think the diaper bag is staying on the top of the stairs. Like it's going to
Yeah,
tumble
unless you have
down.
like bricks in it or something, unless
Exactly.
you have like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in this diaper bag,
Yeah.
you think it would be at least a little further
At least
down.
a few stairs down.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Haley sees this and is very suspicious of Thaddeus's story, and so she asked her mom if she should talk to the police. So her mom did encourage her to like think about talking to the detectives, but she was also kind of worried about like what might happen to Haley if she got involved. Like if this man
Yeah.
has killed this 10-month-old baby and like you go to police, could you be in danger?
I mean, that's the thing. If you think a man could kill a 10-month-old baby, like I don't think he's gonna stop from murdering
Exactly.
an adult.
Exactly. Yeah. And tragically, Jackson did die after spending 2 days on life support. So all of this happened just the week before Haley was murdered. So Haley's friends told detectives that she had gone to Jordan's house the night she was murdered because she left her wallet there and was picking it up. So they were kind of worried, like, did Haley go pick up her wallet and Jordan was there and she told her about her suspicions and like either Thaddeus was there or she called Thaddeus or whatever, and then he killed
hmm
her over it. Strangely enough, Thaddeus also sent her mom Heather a Snapchat video of him holding a gun the day after Haley was murdered. What the fuck is up with that? I do not know. So,
Okay.
detectives interviewed Jordan, and she said that she and Thaddeus were together all night at his brother's house. And surveillance footage does show Haley entering the neighborhood alone and then leaving alone after a length of time that would make sense for just like picking up your wallet and then leaving. So she enters alone, she leaves alone. There's no other evidence to indicate that Thaddeus or Jordan had anything to do with Haley's murder. Thaddeus was later charged with and convicted of level 1 felony neglect of a dependent after Jackson's autopsy showed injuries that were more consistent with abusive head trauma than a single fall down the stairs. So they were like, this is not consistent with, like, not to say that you
Yeah.
could not be injured falling down the stairs, obviously, but that kind of repeated head trauma that is, I don't want to say clear of shaken baby because I know we've done several cases about this where there are other situations that can appear to be shaken baby that are not, but a single fall down the stairs typically is not going to result in the same injuries. And like you said, he was supposedly strapped into a car seat, which, not to say you
Yeah.
cannot also be injured, but that's going to provide a lot of protection.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking too of like a fall down a stairs. And I don't know if these are carpeted hardwood stairs. I don't really know. But like I would think in a car seat you would be more protected. And so your
Hmm.
head trauma might be lessened
Yeah.
versus maybe if he was like, I was holding the baby, I dropped the baby, and not to be like graphic, but if the
Yeah,
baby is like hitting each step of a
exactly.
hardwood
Yeah.
floor down the stairs, obviously that's going to show abusive head trauma.
Yeah.
But saying he was in his car seat and fell down, that's going to be very different because you kind of have
Yes.
like padding in those car seats.
Yes, exactly. Those were my exact thoughts when I was like reading this and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Thaddeus was sentenced to 40 years in prison for Jackson's death. So detectives soon got a lead. So surveillance footage from outside Haley's apartment showed her ex-boyfriend Isaiah picking her up a little after 10:30 p.m. the night she died. Then Walmart surveillance footage shows Isaiah inside Walmart around 2 a.m. with his best friend Jake Allen. So detectives visited Jake Allen at home and asked him what he did that night. Jake said he never saw Haley that night, that Isaiah was alone when they met up and they played video games and then went to Walmart. Jake said Isaiah told him he had dropped Haley off at the park because she wanted to meet up with someone. Jake said this was odd to him because Isaiah was like very overprotective and it wasn't like him to just leave Haley alone somewhere at night. Like he's like he would never just leave her alone and supposedly she's meeting up with someone and like drive off and
Mm-hmm.
like he's like that's not like her at all. He said he had also noticed a change in Isaiah's behavior in recent weeks. He owed his roommate for rent and had stolen his TV and was borrowing money from friends, just acting very out of character. And Haley told her friends that she had noticed $300 missing from her check account. And when she opened her banking app, she saw a check written out to Isaiah for groceries. So he had stolen her checkbook and written himself a check, stealing another $300 from Haley.
Mm-hmm. So Haley and Isaiah had met when they both worked at Texas Roadhouse, and they soon started dating. Her friend said he was shy and reserved, but he was interested in meeting them and getting to know them, unlike a lot of boys their age. So they were like, well, it was kind of nice that, her boyfriend actually cared about her friends and didn't just, ignore them.
Yeah.
And Haley and Isaiah's relationship didn't last long, but they remained friends. Isaiah was brought in to be interviewed 3 days after Haley's death, and he told investigators the same story he told Jake and said he dropped Haley off at the park to meet someone. However, security footage from the park did not pick up Haley or Isaiah that night, and both of their cell phones also showed them traveling together directly to the soccer fields where Haley's body was found, and her phone records show her phone was turned off at the soccer fields and stayed off for a while. So Isaiah's phone records show his phone arriving at the soccer fields the same time as Haley's phone, but his phone stays on for a while and then leaves. And later, when Haley's phone is turned back on, it's at the same location as Isaiah's phone. So like these phones are kind of pinging at the same locations.
Hmm.
When confronted with this information, he tells police that he left out that information because he was scared. He said her phone must have accidentally gotten left in his car somehow, but then later he changes his story and says he saw her phone in the middle of the road and picked it up and then later threw it out of his car window. So now we have like multiple stories. It's not looking good.
Yeah. And the whole like seeing her phone in the middle of the road, like it's at night and he's supposedly driving
Yeah.
down the road. It's a midnight or so at this point, and he's just like, "Oh, I just happened to see her phone there in the middle of the road, so I stopped and picked it up." What?
But then I later threw it out my car window
Yeah.
again. Like
Yeah.
just leave it in the road at that point.
Exactly. Like makes
Um,
no sense.
yeah. So their phone records also show that Isaiah texted Haley the next morning and asked if she was okay, but he had her phone in his possession at the time he texted her. So detectives finally let Isaiah go at 3:30 a.m. after he would not confess and they didn't have any other reasonable cause to arrest him, and the FBI did warn Jake to stay clear of Isaiah. So Isaiah's parents were shocked to learn that he was under suspicion for Haley's murder. They said, he was a shy, good-natured kid. He was easy to get along with. I mean, even like her friends had said good, mostly good reports about him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He'd been a gifted soccer player, and his parents didn't know much about his relationship with Halee, but said he came home distraught the day her body was found. Isaiah was brought back into interrogation, and this time he has to speak to his mom. And his mom was a corrections officer and found herself on the other side of the interrogation table for the first time. So when detectives returned, Isaiah wouldn't say what they talked about, and neither of them would speak to detectives, which I'm like, is she, because she's a correction officer, did she get them to like turn the cameras and the
I
sound? Like,
know, right?
they're always listening in. Like, we always are like, guys, when they leave you alone in an interrogation room, they're listening.
Yeah.
Don't start confessing. So I'm like, how do they not have the footage of this?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's not a minor, so I don't think that is any kind of consideration. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
very weird because you always see that in the shows where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so we left him alone in there and it's like purposeful. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe because she's a corrections officer, they gave her like a
maybe.
some uh I don't
Leeway.
want to say privileges, but like,
Yeah.
yeah. However, the investigators thought they had enough, and Isaiah was charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count each for robbery and obstructing justice. So while searching Isaiah's family's home, they found a towel that matched the towel that was left at the crime scene, and his parents also owned several guns, and one of them was missing. However, there was no DNA or physical evidence linking Isaiah to Haley's murder. So the day before Haley was killed, Isaiah owed his dad money, and he texted him at 11 p.m. the night before asking if he had the money yet. And the morning Haley's body was found, Isaiah had left $210 for his dad on the counter. So the prosecution is wondering if possibly money was the motive for this, but they are surprised that he would kill Haley over such a small amount of money, especially like after already like forging a check, you forging
Mm-hmm.
a check to murdering someone for $210 is a big leap.
Yeah.
Um,
And like her friends too were saying they're like if he had asked for it, she would have given it to him. So it's like this
yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So Isaiah went to trial in 2018. All 9.5 hours of his interrogation was played for the jury, and Isaiah's story changed multiple times during his interrogation. However, Isaiah's defense tried to say he was questioned aggressively for hours and the detectives intimidated him and invaded his personal space, but kind of as we mentioned, he never confessed. So not really sure the relevance here of how long it's not like a forced confession they're trying to
Yeah.
get reasonable doubt on, but
That's what I don't understand. They're like pointing at which like there's video footage of the interrogation, which like you said, it's weird that they wouldn't keep recording when his mom was in there, but who knows. And like he's like basically like Isaiah's kind of sitting there like how you would normally sit with kind of like your legs not like spread super far apart, but you know how they kind of
how a
naturally
man
sit.
sits, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the detective is like in that space. So he is like literally like chest to chest like with this man.
Yeah.
But he did not confess. So how is that like what does that have to do with anything? It's not like you can say he
Yeah,
intimidated him
you
into confessing. It's like, okay, yeah, he was intimidating and aggressive and maybe did not follow proper interrogation protocol, but nothing came of it. So I don't understand what you're trying to argue. Like,
maybe they were trying to do like sometimes like when police officers and detectives like really mess up a case and it's like
hmm
they did this wrong, so it's like
yeah.
showing like they were biased the whole
Yeah, that could be
time and
it.
there's no evidence versus like a forcible confession. It's more like
Yeah.
here's a prime example on video of them
hmm
not following protocol kind of thing.
Yeah, that could be it for sure. That's a good point.
They gotta throw everything they can. They gotta throw that spaghetti at the wall,
Exactly. They're
you
just
know?
throwing that spaghetti.
So Isaiah's defense team also pointed the finger at Thaddeus Rice and said he had the motive and opportunity to kill Haley. At this point, Rice was in jail awaiting his own trial for Jackson's death at the time of Isaiah's trial. So the defense's big piece of evidence was phone records showing that Haley's cell phone stopped sending a signal just before 11:30 p.m. at the soccer fields, but then was turned on 4 hours later and pinged near the soccer field before moving towards Isaiah's location. So Isaiah and his phone were in a different county when the phone pinged at the soccer fields 4 hours after it was turned off. So they claimed someone had to have been in possession of Haley's phone. However, the prosecution claimed that when you turn a phone back on, it hits the tower it was last connected to first, even if it's no longer in that location, and that's why it appeared to be in a different location from Isaiah's phone. And when pressed, they did admit this is a theory and not a proven fact.
Yeah, so
So,
very confusing because we have the prosecution claiming this piece of phone evidence that seems to support like, hey, the phones were together, her phone was turned off, his was left on, then they are still together hours later when her phone turns back on. But then the defense is saying that their phone records that they located show that her phone pinged at the soccer field before it then pinged in a different location. But then the prosecution is saying, oh, well, it only did that because that's where the phone last was. So it pinged there first. And then so it seems like this is not like a very cut and dry piece of evidence for either
For
side.
either side, yeah.
So yeah, a little confusing, but that is what both sides are claiming in terms of the phone evidence.
Which I feel like a cell phone expert could come in and probably, but I mean, I can kind of maybe see the prosecution side because like sometimes if you go on like airplane mode
Hmm.
and then like it shows the location and then it's like takes it a second to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
refresh. So I'm like, maybe it is something like that, but you can't just go out there and be like, this is fact when you're like, well, kind
Yeah.
of.
Which I mean, they did say later that like the phone was at some point after um he left Haley at the soccer fields. Not to read your next sentence, but the coroner could not determine the time of death, so we cannot say for sure that he had her phone after she died, but we at least know he had her phone after he left her alone at the soccer fields. So I feel like that
hmm
is kind of a big point for the prosecution. But
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times, like what you kind of want to do as the defense is reasonable doubt, but also you love
yep,
to have another suspect.
yep.
You need to find a suspect that could have possibly then given Haley, like put Haley's phone where Isaiah
Mm,
is,
yeah.
because even if someone else was in possession of her phone, once it was turned back on, it was next to his the whole
Yeah.
time. So I'm like,
Yeah.
can you just find a just not that I'm trying to like whatever, but like if you're
Hmm.
gonna be like, this is the whole point, like you can't ignore the second half of the phone data also.
Yeah, I feel like at this point they're like, we don't have a lot to go off of, so we're just trying to, again,
Yeah,
just
I don't
throw in
really
that
think
spaghetti.
anybody did, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
And the trial didn't seem to be going well for the prosecution. One of Haley's friends called her dad at the end of the day of each trial and said he was definitely going to be acquitted based on how it was going. And I think it is too, just in this day and age. Like, you want more hard evidence than like cell phone data. Like,
yeah,
we'd all heard Adnan Syed's case at this point, I
exactly.
assume, and
Yeah,
the phone
yeah.
records and how unreliable they are. Like, you know.
Exactly. And there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. There's the same towel. There's a
hmm
missing gun. We don't have any bullet casings to tie back to that
Yeah.
gun. We don't have any fingerprints. We don't have any blood, any DNA, any of those things. He was the last person to see her alive. He had stolen money from her. He was acting weird. There's not really any other like viable suspects, but at the same
Yeah.
time, in terms of hard evidence, I mean,
I mean, it's small town Indiana. There's probably a Walmart, a Target. Maybe everyone had that same towel in their
yeah,
home. Like,
yeah,
how many
exactly.
of those towels are bought a year? Like,
Yeah.
you know. So then Isaiah's mom took the stand as a reluctant witness. So everyone was shocked when she admitted that at the police station, Isaiah told her he killed Haley, but had done it accidentally. And when court reconvened and his mom was put back on the stand, she said that she thought the jury wouldn't convict him if they thought it was an accident.
Yeah. So basically his defense team was like, what just happened? Like things were like going
They
kind
were
of well
like,
for them and they're like,
oh,
oh, she just said that.
yeah, that's why it gets very tricky putting certain people on the stand like that. Um,
Which I do wonder too. I mean, that's what she said that she's like, oh, well, like maybe it would change, the degree if they thought it was an accident. But I also wonder, like, she was a corrections officer, like maybe she just truly believes in law and order and was like, I need to say this is what happened, you know?
that's true.
I
She could
don't
have been
know.
like, I can't live with myself
Yeah,
if I'm not honest about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if it was an accident, you still left her
Mm-hmm.
there. So Isaiah Hagen was convicted and sentenced to 60 years in prison. Later, it was decided that 3 out of 4 of his convictions relied on the same evidence and amounted to double jeopardy. His robbery charge was decreased to a misdemeanor, and one of the murder charges was thrown out. So, after the Dateline episode about this case aired, a private citizen started investigating and claimed they spoke to Jordan, who is Thaddeus Rice's girlfriend and the mother of baby Jackson. She said she and Thaddeus knew Halee had information about Jackson's death and planned to go to the police. So Isaiah appealed based on this information, but the prosecutor said the information was false and his petition was denied in March of 2025, which again, it is kind of hearsay, so it's like
Yeah.
kind of hard.
And
Um,
it wasn't even someone saying that Thaddeus did it. It was just someone saying that Jordan was like, yeah, we knew that Halee was going to go to the police. Like that was it. Like
mhm,
it wasn't even someone saying that Jordan was like, oh yeah, Thaddeus did it. She was just saying, yeah, we knew that Halee was going to talk to the police. So it's like
mhm.
it's a reasonable doubt for Isaiah, but it's not again like an affirmative like
It's like motive for someone else,
yeah,
but then there's nothing else linking him
exactly.
to any of this.
Hmm.
And like, I mean, I guess Thaddeus and Isaiah probably knew each other since they were friends, but it's also like
Hmm.
I haven't heard them being like great friends or
Yeah.
anything for him to be like, "Hey man, I need you to do me a favor." Like,
Yeah.
um, so in a hearing for this appeal, Thaddeus did say he wasn't home the night Halee was murdered, although investigators had previously thought he was home the whole night.
So that is interesting that, he was
Yeah,
caught lying. Not sure if there's anything to
yeah.
that, but that is
He
interesting.
does seem to be a chronic liar,
Yeah.
as we've seen, and not a great person.
Yeah, I would put him
Um,
at the very bottom of the barrel for sure.
yeah, yeah. Him and Isaiah just in there.
Yeah.
Two buddy old pals. Um, so Haley's mom got the same tattoo her daughter had, and in her obituary, her family remembered her as having an infectious smile that would light up a room and a caring heart that was unmatched. They said she lived by the motto of love everyone for no reason at all. Her obituary ended with Haley will forever be in the hearts of family and friends. She helped changing the world without letting the world change her, which I think is just like a beautiful
Yeah.
sentiment to her because it was, at 12 years old,
Yeah.
she's testifying against a man who was hurting, and even with baby Jackson, she was like, I think maybe I should tell the police this, even if it
Yeah.
doesn't amount to anything. Like it was very she tried to do right by the
Hmm.
world kind of thing.
Exactly. And
So,
like she was so young, like she was only 20, like she was a
mhm.
nursing student, like she did volunteer work in her community, just all of these wonderful things. And I feel like too, I mean, not to say that I don't think Isaiah did it because I mean, I feel like if your mom gets up there on the stand and says that you said you did
Yeah.
it, I mean, I feel like that's a
Yeah.
pretty good piece of evidence. But like what is the motive? I just don't understand. Like there's no like would you truly kill your ex-girlfriend over $200? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like and maybe it really was an
Yeah.
accident. Maybe I mean, he had stolen
Maybe it was like a robbery.
yeah,
Maybe
that's
he was like,
true.
I am gonna be like, I need this money. I'm just gonna scare her a bit, and then
Yeah.
something went wrong,
Yeah, that
you
is
know?
true.
And he panicked and freaked, not excusing it. He
Yeah.
still left when he could have called 911 and helped her and been on lesser charges and probably gotten out quicker. But
Especially
like,
knowing that she was alive for a while after, it's like, could she have
hmm
been saved? You know? I mean, maybe she couldn't have, but there was that possibility.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm,
just
yeah.
sad, horrific.
Very sad.
Any other synonym you can think of?
Like just so tragic. And like her obituary was just absolutely beautiful. Like some of the
Hmm.
information at the top of the episode about like who she was and things she did, like some of that came from the obituary. And then of course like the quotes there at the end. But it was just you could truly care that she was someone who was very, very loved and respected.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Oof.
now let's see if we can give you a
Now
little
that you've
bit.
had n-
Oh,
many minutes of depression from
yes.
start to end.
Yeah. And this is why when Courtney asked what order I wanted to record in tonight, I was like, let's do our CrimeCon recap episode last so that
So that
we get
we
a perk of
don't
the
go to
week.
bed with this in our
Yes.
brains.
Yes. So that being said, Courtney, what is your perk of the week?
So my pick of the week, I alluded to it at the beginning, was CrimeCon in Denver. It was just so amazing. Again, detailed recap on our Patreon.
Hmm.
Very cheap to sign up, $3 a month. You can $3 binge all the episodes, cancel it. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I'd love for you to stay around, but
It's
it's
just
still pretty cheap for all you get.
it's just $3. That's like half a latte. You got this.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get a streaming service for that price.
That's true.
$36, that's what you got to pay for Netflix with 3 logons.
Yep, that's
One
true.
month.
Crazy.
Anyway, no, but it was just so nice. It was such a great
Hmm.
trip. I'd never been to Denver before. I'm already excited to go back. The
Hmm.
altitude is actually no joke. I always thought people were being dramatic.
It's like breathing through a straw. It's a little,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I do think about like these because there's a professional sports team there. So what an advantage it
yeah,
is when they
absolutely.
come and the
Yeah.
different exercises they have to do to be prepared to
Hmm.
play in Denver. So
Yeah.
because I can't imagine trying to sprint down a
No.
football field 100 yards
Yeah. Because
with
I'm
that.
sure,
But
obviously, like when you live there, you get used to it. But for those
yeah.
of us who aren't, like you said, showing up and trying to play a very physical
Yeah, like a
sport,
football team that might play there once every 4 years, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, but yeah, so that is my perk of the week. Jacqueline, what is your perk of the week?
Since we record every other week now, sometimes you're going to get a double perk of the week because, there's just a lot of things happening in that 2 week period to pick one. So my first perk of the week is obviously CrimeCon as well, which, we'll talk about in the Patreon episode. So come over there if you want more information. And then also my second perk of the week is that this past weekend, my family took a little weekend getaway to Cincinnati. So we spent Saturday at the zoo with the girls. I don't know if you guys remember. I think I talked about this last year, but I don't know if I did or not. But I really wanted to see the kangaroos at the zoo, and it started storming, and they closed the kangaroo
Oh
exhibit
yeah.
right when I got there. So today, no, today, Saturday, whatever.
I drove back up there today.
I'm just gonna go every day. So Sat So Saturday when we went to the zoo, we went to the kangaroos first. And
Hmm.
my aunt was laughing at me after. She's like, I don't know if you or Millie was more excited. She's like, you
Did you
literally,
get to walk around with the kangaroos?
yes,
That's how it is at the
yes.
Nashville one.
Oh my God.
I actually have a
Oh my
very
gosh.
funny picture from, I wonder if I can find it.
I have like
Oh my
30
God, it's
pictures
so
of us with the
funny.
kangaroos. They are such goofy creatures. They are so funny.
Yeah, they're funny. Let me
Yeah, so it's
see.
like a little path and you just like walk around and they're just like hopping around, chilling, and it was just so much fun. It was so delightful. It was worth the wait. I was so happy.
I don't know if
And
I'm gonna be able to find it. It might take me
okay, you
forever
can send it
to
to me in a
find
little
it.
bit.
I'll send it
Um,
to you later. I will deep dive after this. I also had to stop deep diving on the Dateline box sets because I went, this is a rabbit hole you're about to
oh,
fall down
yep.
and you need to stop
Yes.
because you'll forget everything. But
So yeah, so that was just, I mean, amazing. I was so excited. And then Sunday we went to the Bengals game as we do every year. So my aunt went up there to watch the girls for us, so that was great. We did win, but we got to see Joe Burrow get injured for the season. So, it was great.
mhm.
It was, you know,
I
you,
did see a meme today and I didn't know if it was too soon to send it, but it was Joe Burrow with his nine jersey and it was like the amount of working toes Joe Burrow has right now.
That's funny.
So I was like, might be too soon,
The
but
guy in front of us was hilarious because like they didn't say anything. Like 'cause it happened, I think it was like 6 minutes into or 6 minutes left. I guess either way, it's about 6 minutes into the second quarter. Which it was funny too because like he got sacked and like everyone booed him because he was not looking great at the beginning of that game. And
mm-mm.
then like he like got up and like walked away and then like took off his helmet and sat down. And I was like, oh, he's just trying to get some sympathy. He was like, oh man, they're mad at me. I got to make him be like, oh, come back, Joe.
Yeah.
And then, but they didn't say anything until after halftime when they said like that his return was questionable. So like we were on
Yeah.
Twitter, but they didn't like announce anything. He like went in the tent and was in there for a long time and then went to the locker room. But again, didn't say
They showed
anything.
a lot on TV and I was like, this ain't good.
Yeah.
Basically, because they
Yeah.
showed him like on the ground being like, and I was like, oh, his knees are already fucked and I
Yep.
mean, everything in that man's body is basically fucked at this point. But I
Exactly.
was like, that doesn't look good because he's sitting there. And then it showed him walking to the locker room and then he started limping and then he had to have
Uh-huh.
both people carry him. And I was like,
Oh,
That ain't good. And like
yeah.
they were showing him like walk into the locker room. I was like,
You're like, this is getting
they're
I mean,
bad.
the longer it went by and like nothing, and it's like, okay, this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But
So
when because we were looking on Twitter and saw what happened and everything, and then the guy in front of us when we said something about it being a toe, he's like, a toe? All that for a toe? Are you kidding me?
that's
It was
me.
so
I understand
funny.
turf toe is a legit thing, but
Yes,
it sounds so unserious. You're
it
like a
really
toe.
does. It really does. You're
Obviously,
like
toes are very important, but
one
it's
toe, my guy, you're a quarterback. You need the one
but I
toe.
mean,
Yes.
surgery on your toe, like that is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane. But
Um, yeah, so we'll see.
he's like the guy from SpongeBob where he's like, my bones are made of glass.
He really
But
is.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I did see a stat though, because basically a lot of people are now comparing him to Andrew Luck, who had to
Mm,
like forcibly retire because he's like, I can't
yeah.
keep getting beat up like this because my offensive line isn't protecting me.
Yep.
And Joe Burrow has more sacks at the same amount of games, and it's like
Yeah.
he might to get to a point where he's like, I can't do this anymore
Yeah. He's like, I'm
because
done, y'all.
I gotta
Like,
live the rest of my life after this. I mean, he already had to have his whole knee reconstructed, basically. I mean, he tore
exactly.
ACL, MCL, something else. Like
Fucked up his
it,
wrist. Like, just could you get any more
yeah,
injured? Like,
yeah. So I'm just like, I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah. Did you see the end of the game, by the way?
No, I was
Oh.
watching it on the ESPN app because I was going to my nephew's birthday party.
Oh yeah,
So
that's true. Yeah, it was crazy. And we were down like three, and we threw an interception with like 3 minutes left in the game, and like all these people got up and left, and then like we ended up winning. So I'm just
yeah,
like, really? Like, but yeah, it was. I mean, just crazy, and one of those like somehow everything still lined up at the end. And
yeah.
then we like
Did
got
it go to overtime?
no. So
No. Okay, there
we
was another game I think that went out to overtime, but
no, so we scored with a quarterback sneak with like 18 seconds left on the clock, and then they did like a whole like lateral, toss it around
yeah.
20 times and
A
then
Philly
went out of
special.
bounds.
Is that what it's called? I think. I don't remember,
I don't
but
remember, but it was very entertaining. So, very exciting and yeah, so that was very
yeah.
long-winded. Sorry about that. We just had to catch up about that apparently. Talk about the Kangaroos and the
Yeah.
Bengals and Joe
It's
Burrow
it's so
and
crazy to like seeing it from our like TVs and how you were like, we had no idea what was happening. And I'm like, they showed us 15 times in slow-mo
yeah.
exactly what happened on that play. So
See,
it
like
is
we didn't
crazy
see it until
thinking
later because like we're
because
sitting
the
there.
game's got to keep going. Like
Yeah,
they're not going to keep
exactly.
re-showing it, but like during
Yeah,
like every like pause, they're like, here it is again from a different angle.
that's
Here it is
funny.
again. Here he is on the sideline. Here he is walking. Here he is,
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, he got sacked, and then it was like, okay, things are going, and like Andrew was like on his phone, and I was just like, oh shit, like he's down. He's like, what's happening? And I was like, Joe Burrow was like on the ground, like he just took off his helmet, like this, like what is happening?
Yeah.
Because it was just kind of seemed out of nowhere. It's like because he got up and was like walking away, and then was just like took off his helmet and threw it to
Even
the
watching
ground.
it too, I was like, his ankle? Like
Yeah, you're like,
it
what
didn't you were like
happened?
it literally looked like someone just grabbed his foot like he was trying to, go forward
Yeah,
and grabbed his foot and he fell and I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, oh.
yeah.
And then I was like saw him like in the MRI room. I was like, ooh,
We're like, that is not
ooh.
good. Yeah.
Can we tell you it's crazy that an NFL stadium just has an MRI
I
room?
know we were talking about that when we were walking back after the game, and I was like, that is just so wild that they just got those little machines
Someone
hanging around in case you need them.
crazy.
Anyway, we have talked entirely too long.
Yeah.
As we've alluded to several times, come on over to patreon.com/caffeinated crime so we can tell you all about CrimeCon and all of the other 50 something whatever the hell we talk about over there that's very entertaining and a lot more unfiltered than this is, and this is pretty unfiltered, so you're welcome. Um,
Yeah.
we're on all the places, all the things. Just Google us, Caffeinated Crimes will show up. Leave us comments on Spotify as long as they're nice. Leave us reviews
Mhm.
on places, 5 stars everywhere, thumbs up, all the things.
We've already plugged Patreon like a million times. And go have a cup of coffee.
And don't commit a crime.